keep cheering, and that's the morale of cycling, and I'm happy that the other countries have a taste of what Africa is.
Yeah, I think for all the African riders, myself included, it's possibly the first in my career, maybe one of the last opportunities to have this. So, yeah, just trying to take it all in and, yeah, home ground advantage.
It's also, I suppose, very inspiring for a lot of young riders who want to become professionals from Africa.
Yes, yeah, I think putting this on the world stage, it gives the children in Africa dreams, and yeah, the sky's the limit. So yeah, keep chasing those.
Very much.
Byron Munton on his own, as indeed so many riders are, including Red Walters, who's up the road at the moment. A trio of chasers engaged at the moment. Let us see indeed what sort of fighting force we're going to establish here. They're just breaking off the front of the peloton. This is a lively start to a very, very long day, Brian.
Yeah, it could have been a little bit more lively. I've seen, you know, really a lot of attacks in previous World Championships. A lot of the kind of smaller nations trying to get themselves in a breakaway. It's only one rider, Red Walters. We've got, you know, 2 or 3 riders trying to come across to him. I just love this Granada kit. Very much stands out. Very colourful. You know, Red Walters trying as hard as he can to get himself in the breakaway, to make a name for himself. He's come here not to possibly try and win the World Championships, but, you know, to get his name, his country out there, and we're starting to see some of the other countries starting to get involved now.
Yeah, more principles as well. Switzerland extraordinarily active as they have been throughout these World Championships. They were very, very busy yesterday in the women's elite race, and in fact looked like they had the master plan, great strategy for the entire course. They come here with Jan Christian, Mauro Schmidt, Mark Hershey as well, for somebody who used to shine extraordinarily brightly when it came to indeed the classics. It's got that feel about it today. Even beyond the classics distance, however, at 273 kilometres in total. That is an awful long way before we get home. Don't even think about it if you're of a sensitive disposition, because this is going to be a toughie. Denmark also want to come and join the fun, and planting rider in the break is the Netherlands as well. And here we are, Ivo Oliveira of Portugal, Meyerhofer, Valtis, Using. These are big names that are starting to emerge already. Ivo Oliveira, possibly the main favourite, I would have thought, for Portugal. They have Antunes, Julião and Morgado. It is very much a classics feel today, a massive celebration, of course, not only of the African continent, but of the great nation of Rwanda as well. A country that has reinvented itself, I think it's fair to say, in a wonderful way since their trauma and troubles of 1994 and the genocide. There's Red Walters. He's had his moment. We see Oliveira and Meyerhofer. These are capable of setting a very, very decent pace. So much so that others are worried about this. The peloton is only at a margin of 10 seconds, as you can see. It's being dragged along, elongated, if you will, on the first climb of the day. They better get used to this, Brian, because we have over 5,000 metres of altitude gain, 5,393 to be precise.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see that some of the kind of stronger cycling nations are trying to get themselves in this breakaway, such as the difficult start to this race. Normally we see a lot of the really small nations, but, you know, we are talking about, you know, Switzerland, we're talking about Germany, Portugal, you know, you're talking about countries that have already won this race in the past.
Well, Mark Donovan is being sent up the road here. Great Britain, of course, amongst that roster. The great Mark Cavendish, naturally enough, here as an ambassador. Good to see him on site and enjoying life. In fact, when it came to the men's junior race, we have, of course, got ourselves Great Britain a world champion already. Can Tom Pidcock do the job today? He's the sort of rider that could. He had questions about his own endurance. Actually spoke long and loud about this. But then he went to the Vuelta, gets himself on the podium, finishes in 3rd place, described it as the biggest win of his career. And he comes here amongst the favourites, Great Britain. Well, they indeed have many, many options. So here we are, getting a solid breakaway. In any other race, this would be impressive and possibly a danger, Brian, but with the distances we've got, it is something certainly to ponder, as is this. Genocide Memorial here in Kigali. It is, of course, in remembrance of those who were taken from this earth in 1994 with the genocide against the Tutsi in this part of the world. And it serves as a reminder of just how dark life can get. It doesn't matter which part of the planet you are indeed hopefully enjoying your lives. Darkness can indeed wash over you, and it's Fabio Christian decides to kick on here. Meyerhofer, no slouch even in his own right, just fracturing a little bit at the front. Ivo Oliveira has decided to get a big investment here. You can see once we hit these cobbles, and get used to it because it's very much a feature of every single one of our laps that we have on the small circuits. We then will, of course, go after 9 laps on the small circuit onto a much bigger one. We just do one round to Mont Kigali. They'll know all about it because we hit the foot of that mountain. We're after about 155 kilometres of racing. The total distance today is, I guess you might say, a little cruel. You might say a lottle cruel, if that was even a word. But yeah, so 9 laps, then 1 lap of an extended circuit, and then we come back for 6 laps of the small circuit. Mount Kigali with ramps of 20%. Coming at the end of what would be a Grand Tour race distance. Then we do that mountain, and then we finish off the remainder of the day. This is cruelty par excellence, and to be able to take it on and have the will to do that at this point is absolutely remarkable. Well, checking over his shoulder at the moment, Ivo Oliveira wants company, he wants others to work hard. He'd probably want the likes of Julien Bernard to come and join the fun, and the Frenchman is making a big effort here to get over. He's not going to be one of the favourites even within the French team, but then again we've seen those who are off the favoured list thrive. We saw it in the women's elite rate yesterday. We were wise to the potential, of course, of our winner, who was spectacular. I think by now you will probably know, especially if you're Canadian, that Magdalena Valliere was genius. It was a course that suited her perfectly. Finding somebody to whom this course suits is a difficult task. You've got to have supreme endurance. If you have that, first and foremost, I think, Brian, then you can let your talent come through at the end and show whatever you've got left. But you have to survive it.
When this course was released, and a lot of riders thought, well, this is going to be a climber's course, this is very difficult. And a few riders, including some ex-world champions, Matthew van der Poel, decided, no, this is too hard, but I'm not going to come here. I think looking at this course today, I think it could have been a feature. Last year in Zurich was a very difficult course. Of course, Tadej Pogačar decided to go early, just inside 80 kilometres to go. I think, you know, listening to some of the stories from the start, you know, what is Slovenia going to do? They will be looked at, they will be lent upon to control this race today. They are the only team with 9 riders in this race. So, but I just think that this breakaway here with so many top nations in here, I don't think they're going to go to the end, but it just adds a little bit of elements to the start of this World Championships.
Certainly does. Zigor Bayar Badzakan is indeed up the road. Won the Tour of Thailand a couple of years ago, and he's decided that if he's going to go deep, then let it be now. Absolutely spectacular is the man from Mongolia. Decent sprinter, got a big kick on him, but he can clearly climb, and apparently time trial as well. He's got a result in just about every discipline within his nation. He's trying to bridge over at the time being, trying to get onto the coattails of Julien Bernard. He's just left the peloton behind. They've kind of settled into a bit of a holding pattern. You've got to be careful though, even at the distances we've got, because whatever the gap is, you've got to bridge it, Brian, and that's a difficult task when you're dealing with all the climbing that we have as a constant feature of this championship.
Yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see how the countries that are here play this one out. I think a good one here from France, having Julien Bernard coming across to this group, so we now have 6 riders in this leading group, and you know, Ivo Oliveira at the front here, the Portuguese rider and Portuguese road race champion. He seems to be the most active in this group, wants to kind of push on. Of course, Portugal, former winners of this race, but they have got a four-man team today. They've got Morgado, which is a really good rider. Eulalio and Túnez, they have got a real good four-man team. But interestingly, from France, of the big nations, I'm talking about the teams that are here with 8 riders or more. Denmark and France have put a rider in this breakaway, which now allows, if they stay away long into this race, it now allows their principals just to follow the moves. That's all they have to do, follow the moves and have that excuse that they've got a rider in front.
Yeah, it's a great move, and the big nations here have to include Denmark, for example. They've got Matthias Schelmers, Ardennes specialist, and somebody who could actually go very long in this race. They have Fuldager up the road, which allows Schelmers and the rest of the support team from Denmark. It's a big crew as well. They have 8 riders here. The biggest team, by the way, with 9 is Slovenia, because they're allowed 8 as a maximum, plus of course the defending champion has to come along, and they've maxed out. Haven't seen the lime greens for a little while, as we're dwelling on our breakaway. Anders Fuldager is the Dane, rides for Jayco. Great guy, still a youngster, 24 years of age. Third in the Coppa Sabatini, which will serve him well here. But yeah, he's been a stage winner as a young man in things like the young Giro. But look back here, it's kind of a lockdown. They want this breakaway to at least be established, and that will wash over a sense of calm as the peloton itself crosses the start-finish line at the top of one of our peaks. Downhill run, you get used to this. Once we come off this peak, we go down towards the valley bottom, and the great plain here with this river that just cuts its way through the alluvial plain at the base of all of the mountains, and that mountain runoff, and all of the goodness into the valleys where the agriculture is centred. Meanwhile, these guys, are they making hay? Well, that's what we're asking ourselves. Iro Oliveira is just headed at the moment with Marius Meyerhofer, but they're all staying together. They've got to, essentially. But Zaikan, I think, has been reabsorbed. It's still detailed, actually. As there he is. He's still got a minute, I beg your pardon, on the peloton. Brave for him. Making it over did get Julien Bernard. Julien Bernard, one of those that badged up for being something of a breakaway today. But of all of the riders that we have up here, Ivo Oliveira is a strong rider. He's got a great palmares. He's a man who has thrived as national road race and indeed time trial champion. I've seen him go extremely strongly in Romandy earlier on this year, and yeah, he's almost the ideal candidate to get up the road. But I'd have thought that he was the principal for his team, Oliveira, and he's decided that if he wants something doing, he wants to do it himself, Brian.
I think looking at that team, they've only got 4 riders, but for me, if I was picking someone, it would be Thomas Morgado would be my favourite choice. He can get up these climbs pretty well. He's a very strong rider, and he's got a good palmares. I think for Ivo Oliveira, he's renowned for track racing, a little bit of kind of sprinting, a bit of a prologue specialist, and of course not mainly a rider that can go over a lot of these climbs, but kind of half expected now. We're seeing what Slovenia are trying to do. I think this is going to be something similar to what we saw in Copenhagen with Mark Cavendish. Of course, it's not going to come down to a sprint, but I think Slovenia, with 9 riders here, they're going to commit riders to the chase. They're just going to hold this gap about 2 or 3 minutes, because we're talking about some strong nations that are in this break. The only concern I've got about the break is it isn't big enough. It's only the 6 riders that are in front. I don't think Batsikan will make it across, but this is a statement from Slovenia now. They will control the race until Tadej Pogačar decides that he wants to launch, and when he launches, who's going to go with him?
Well, we're going to hear from Isaac Del Toro, the Mexican, of course, and the man who came so close to winning the Giro d'Italia. Coulda, shoulda, perhaps, how will he gauge himself today? Still, of course, a youngster, but with a massive potential.
To be competitive, and let's see if I can be with the top guys at the end.
Because honestly, looking at your form of these last few weeks, few months, you look like a potential winner.
Yeah, they say so, but I will try maybe. If I have the chance to be competitive at the end, I will take it for sure.
Do you like the course? Do you like the toughness of the course?
Yeah, I think it's really hard. I mean, I like it, and I know everybody will suffer like quite a lot.
What happens if you end up with Tadej Pogačar in a breakaway?
1 versus 1.
I like that. 1 versus 1. Could be an arm wrestle. Let's wait and see. Is it Del Toro perhaps showed his lack of experience with the way that he handled himself on the Giro d'Italia? Gave away, some would say, a spectacular, if you want spectacular, look no further than Julian Alaphilippe. A super showman. I never know with Alaphilippe whether this is kind of a statement or whether it has substance. And I think sometimes Alaphilippe himself doesn't even know. Gives a quick nod there to Batsai Khan. Sails by. Estonia just getting some late adjustments going on here. You've got to be comfortable on the bike. Let's not mix that. Brian Taramay is indeed making his own adjustments. There you go. Rolling saddle changes for Ryan Taramay. I do like that. He's a great rider, isn't he? Good guy.
Yeah, he's in the kind of twilight of his career. He was a good rider a few years ago, but you know he's in the last few years of his career. He's still come here for Estonia, representing his country. That actually happened to me. The thing is, when you travel with your bike, you have to kind of build it again. And I travelled to the World Championships in Spain one year, and after a few laps, my saddle went down, so I had to go back to the car and adjust it myself. Made an impression in Spanish TV, of course, but yeah, it just took a little bit of energy to be able to do that. But more importantly, I just saw that Belgium put a rider up there towards the front. So Belgium are here with the triple world champion in the time trial, double Olympic gold medalist Remco Evenepoel, and I really do think
are super motivated to make the race hard and to try to do something, and let's see.
What can we expect from the race? Because it's been curious races yesterday, the day before. What can we expect?
Well, we can of course expect a super hard race by the circuit, the weather, the kilometers. Will be terrible for sure. So it will be a strong winner, and I don't see a lot of guys at the finish.
Well, he's assuming bad weather is going to roll into us today. I hope that's not the case, but it's a great possibility at some point during the day that we have thunderstorms. Julian Alaphilippe then decided to think better of this quite clearly. Sometimes I think he can't quite help himself. He just has the sheer joy of cycling in his head and in his legs. And I've loved watching him. Twice a world champion, of course, as you well know, Brian, but always a great animator of any race he comes to, and is already making us talk about it.
I do not have a clue what he was doing there.
I don't think he did either. That's what I'm trying to say.
Normally, you come to the World Championships and it's a case of just saving as much as you can for the final battle in the last couple of laps. I still believe it will be down to the last couple of laps, but for Julian Alaphilippe, he sometimes can't help himself. He's a former double world champion himself, and he knows how to ride this race. But the fact that we're talking about him now and seeing him at the front, it's not normal for a World Championships.
Van Orken, I'm afraid, suffering all kinds of issues, and it looks like he is out of the race and first to go. I actually thought before we came to air that Ahmed would be up the road. Enjoyed watching him over the years. In fact, he is an erstwhile breakaway rider, but something not right. It looks like it may well have been a technical issue by the look of it. Meanwhile, should we go and play with some mountains? This is the Volcanoes National Park. And this is where a great project to look after the mountain gorillas. has indeed helped their population reinvigorate itself, which has been wonderful. This is the King's Palace Museum in Nyanza, and kind of a look back to times of old, really, and some of the great settlements that we had here in the past. And this is a spectacular place that honours the heritage of Rwanda, and has given us a recreation of the King's Palace made of woven pandanus leaves, and it is absolutely amazing. The tonnage that needs to be supported under this roof is spectacular, but it's the great meeting hall where the original settlers, of course, would come to discuss and indeed potentially plan how their nation was to be formed. And we have loved it as a playground, but a reminder of just how historical this great nation is. We're also at altitude, we remind you. That will have a wearing effect a little bit later on. Some indeed have been busy getting themselves prepared for the tests that we have here, but I don't think anyone could have prepared us for the warm welcome that we've had by the good people of Rwanda and the city of Kigali itself. It's been an absolute joy. If you're only just joining us, my name is Carlton Kirby, and if you'd like to drop me a line, you can find me on social media. I'll just put my name all together, so CarltonKirby. Alongside me, twice British national champion, Mr. Brian Smith. We'll always put the mystery in front at least once. And you can find Brian as well at Bryce Smithy, BRISMITH1. Meanwhile, check this out. Busy. You've got to love the world champs here, and sometimes you can get caught out. Campanats himself is just about to take a drink, just about to bottle it, and he can't get it out of his mouth at the moment because all hell is suddenly breaking loose. This is great. I'm loving seeing the vim and vigour that is on display at the moment. And Paul Seixas, starting off as one of those that is an outside favourite, is wrestling the terrain and causing worriment, particularly from Slovenia, who've set two to mark this out, because Campanats is a phenomenal breakaway rider, great engine. Tom Pidcock at the back in the cars. Having a little chit-chat here. I'm not sure whether he's got a problem already, but a few have potentially been found out, including Alaphilippe, who's off the back at the moment and almost getting into the barriers. Nobody said this was an easy game to play, and I do worry sometimes when you see a flash of brilliance from Alaphilippe, or at least a bit of showboating, as to what that is indicating to us. He doesn't look happy, Brian.
This is very strange. Yeah. Very strange. But it's very clear that France want to make this as difficult as possible. You know, we just saw an attack there from Valentin Paripantra initially for France, and then Paul Seixas decided that he wanted to go. But just watching the left-hand side, Paripantra and Seixas, they look as if they're trying to move and go alone. The lime green jerseys of Slovenia, where they're kind of marking everything out. So was Belgium there with the Campanats. It was Vermeers, it was riding on the front. So very strange here. Tom Pidcock just back here speaking to the GB coach.
Definitely. More towards my capabilities than perhaps another course. So. Yeah, of course I like it. I think it's going to be super attritional.
Do you think that's where it's going to happen, Mount Kigali, 100 kilometers from the finish?
Difficult to say. I think have to be ready for anything at any moment. And like we saw last year, also the previous World I did in Leuven. Before that, the race starts really early. So.
Starts early, it might well end early for Julien Alaphilippe. He does not look well at all, I'm afraid. Maybe that was his way of just saying, I am here, I've been here, but now I'm not. And a shake of the head tells you everything you need to know. He's a bit of an open book in situations like this. It's like that. It's like that. Are you going to stop? Yes, he says. Yeah. It's just too much, 250 metres still to go. And he says it's not going to be his day, Brian.
You can clearly see that. What I said before was that I didn't have a clue what he was doing. I don't think he knew either. Maybe it was a little bit, I don't feel too good, I'm just going to test the legs, just try and open up the legs. Sometimes you come here, you do all this travel, you come to altitude, either the heat, the humidity, doing things like that, and you just feel absolutely dead. And you know, if you feel like that, Carlton, sometimes you think, well, I need to open up the body, open up the legs, and it's probably the same in, you know, many other sports. Maybe some sports like, you know, motor sports as well. So you just have to open up the engine. So I think it was a case that earlier on we saw him have a little bit of an effort to just kind of test his legs out a little bit. That test was done, and it wasn't a good test.
No, it wasn't. I also think there was a certain part of him that just wanted to say almost, hi, I'm here, but now I'm gone. Raul Garcia Piana, terrific rider. When he's in his element, good track rider as well on occasion. And right now, a man who was national time trial champion in Spain, indeed a couple of years ago now, but nonetheless, still functioning extraordinarily well. Just looking here at Ahmed Weiss, who's from the refugee cycling team. He's been very much a feature of the World Championships for some time. The downhill section is an introduction to the cobbles. This will be the second time that we have seen them, 11%. But as we go up Kimi Urura, there's a fan zone at the top, and you'll hear them cheering them along. Nice and proud. The rough surface, as we indeed have recognised, is a magnifier really of the difficulties that you have to face. So to me, this is the more difficult part, even though it has the slightly lesser percentages within the circuit. As it stands, you can see the forearms and the wrists are acting as shock absorbers, and taking the hit here. Taking one for the team is Raul Garcia Pauna, as it stands right now. Meanwhile, up front, it is still 6 being chased by 1. We often say that 8 is an ideal breakaway. I would say that on a day like this being so long, you'd probably expand that number to about a dozen. If you can get a dozen up the road, there's quite a few that would like to be part of those proceedings. And we've seen the police force from Slovenia to mark out several moves, including notable ones from France. They've already got Julien Bernard up the road. How did they manage to get Seychelles and indeed others to the fore? That would have been something spectacular.
Well, Seychelles is going across to Garcia Perna, so it's not shut down. France have already got a rider up the road. I'm kind of surprised, but then not, because this is such an unpredictable World Championships. It's one of these situations where you come here and it's kind of hard to describe. You come here with a view to do well. We just saw Mauro Smith do it back for Switzerland. He's a very, very strong rider, and to see the likes of Alaphilippe and Mauro Smith and, you know, various riders having problems so far, it's just the conditions. You come here for one reason, either to help your nation out, or to do the job yourself, or like I said a moment ago, that some riders are here just to try and kind of get themselves a little bit of limelight, like Red Walters did earlier on today. But this is such a hard circuit, and when we're starting to see some of the strongest countries in cycling put riders in front, it's causing a major reaction.
Just trying to see who it is that's coming over from Belgium. Someone like Florian Vermeersch would be I've seen Camberlands before. I'm not sure whether that's him within that. Cool. Let's see if he makes it. He's being marked out by Slovenia. He is a massive danger in a situation like this.
You will not want Belgium. I think the two strongest, the two major competitors. I've actually got 3 in my head. The 3, I think, are Ayuso, Evenepoel, and Pogacar. And I really do think that wherever Belgium goes, Slovenia is going to mark them out. You will not allow. You have a meeting beforehand, and it will be said, do not let Slovenia go up the road. Do not let Belgium go up the road, because they are the kind of 2 main favourites. And you can see it clearly as well that Garcia Perna of Spain isn't going to be allowed to go either, because Spain have got a real contender in Juan Ayuso.
Meanwhile, at the front, Menno Racing leads them over this crest. Julien Bernard, Anders Volldanger, We have Ivo Oliveira, who almost started the move, Fabio Christian and Marius Meyerhofer. Raul Garcia is trying to make the bridge at the moment. We've had several little hits and hopes. That's Paul Seychelles for France, Julien Alaphilippe. Unfortunately, on his 200th race day, it's all just got a bit too much, and likewise you could possibly say the same thing back here. Tom Pidcock does not look good. He's been back to the car, he's been taking on fluids, he's got an absolute pocket full of gels here. Maybe that's just him waiting for the campaign. Maybe he's introducing himself gradually into the remainder of the day. Here we go then, we've got a quality group here, including Campenaerts up over the top, and indeed Great Britain also involved.
Yeah, but more importantly, the Mexican, Del Toro, is there as well. Fred Wright is there for the UK. The pressure really is on this race.
That's massive. If Del Toro makes it over there, he's got the sort of youthful exuberance. Sometimes we question his strategy. If he makes it in, this is going to be absolutely massive. This early on, 238 kilometres to go, and with those kind of principles up the road, Campenaerts as well as part of that vanguard. No wonder they're strung out, Brian. There's panic.
In the past, the World Championships have got not a rule book, but a set of guidelines. Those guidelines have been ripped up and thrown away. This is not normal in the World Championships. We're starting to see some of the top riders feature so early on in this race. So many riders in difficulty at this moment in this race.
Well, the calling car's out of the gap here. You can see them just going to the access road at the side here. That's our 6 up the road. Garcia you'll see next, I assume, and then this phalanx. And look at the chase that's being invoked just behind. Del Toro has a look over his shoulder, the Mexican, and just thinking to himself, have I bitten off more than I can chew? Raul Garcia is part of this group. He picks up and goes again. Campenaerts backing out of this. I think they've had a test. They've had a probing run here, and now they realise that this is perhaps not the best idea today. So Garcia goes again out of that group, having been collected by Campenaerts, Fred Wright, Paul Seychelles, Tejada and Del Toro. And the pace that has been put into the chase by Slovenia has indeed neutralised this effort. They've kind of set up just a little bit. And just look at the cavalry coming over the hill here.
Yeah, it's intriguing, really, really intriguing. You see Quinn Simmons for the USA on the left-hand side there. It's all happening. Guevara looks like, you know, he's the rider that's at the front for Slovenia. But more importantly, where is Tom Pidcock? He was one of the favourites coming into this race after a fantastic La Vuelta. But yeah, Alaphilippe, well, he's not going to be winning this race for a third time. He said to us that he is stopping this time round, which is a big surprise.
It is a big surprise. He's come a long way to be part of proceedings. Alaphilippe, twice a world champion, as you well know. Just genius at work on the bike, as he has been in his career, possibly getting to the autumn of that. But then again, that's been declared so many times, it just keeps coming by. Often described Julien Alaphilippe as a firework without a stick, a rocket without a stick. Big display, but all over the place. And I love him for that. But I really think that was a little bit of flamboyance, knowing that this day would not be his. Probably already talked to his teammates and said, listen, I'm just going to go and take over. Nudge off the front. Possibly he was testing himself physically, as Brian was suggesting. But yeah, what is your...
All this way, all this effort.
I know, but you don't know how you've developed it. You've probably been here, what, 10 days, 2 weeks? You don't know how life has treated you within that time, and clearly it's not going to be his day, but somebody's going to thrive. Might we get a surprise today, Brian, with so many of the big name favourites here? I guess we said that in the women's elite race as well, and they got unpicked by a spectacular performance by Canada.
Yeah, but we are going to have to wait and see. I think the main favourite still for me is Tadej Pogačar. Yeah. He's come here, he wants to double up, he wants that World Championship jersey, he wants to, you know, own it again for next year, and you can see his team are already riding. But yeah, we could possibly see, I think if we're going to see an upset, we're going to see a counter-attack, and if that counter-attack goes in the middle of the race, gets across to these guys here, and Pogačar is in every pole, and these guys, Pidcock, are all kind of marking each other out. We could see something similar to yesterday, but I don't think we will.
Tom Picot's back on. As you can see, he's joined by Rwanda's Eric Mohoza. And as you can see, he's looking a little bit second-hand amongst those that are on the roads. Oliveira, lovely guy, the Portuguese. Just part of now a six-man group, hoping that Raul Garcia can come and join them. The Peloton still only at a minute margin. Meanwhile, we look back here, some of those that tested and probed find themselves reabsorbed. There is the golden helmet of Remco Evenepoel. Remco himself, absolute genius of work while you look at Lake Kivu, part of Africa's Great Rift Valley. It was 2,700 square kilometres of surface here. In fact, when you're at lake level, at water level, not sea level, of course, we're higher altitude here. This freshwater lake almost feels like the sea. It's absolutely beautiful. It has its own colour as well, sort of an emerald green, possibly reflective of the land around it. It's absolutely beautiful. Just throwing our mind back to the time trial, Brian, the manner with which Remco Evenepoel took his hat-trick of time trial titles here, winding in Tadej Pogačar from a 2.5-minute margin. Is that Tadej Pogačar not wanting to absolutely empty the tanks on the time trial, or is that Tadej Pogačar not on the best of form?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I believe that Alaphilippe was sick after Canada. He was even contemplating not coming here. Apparently he said that he wasn't feeling that great yesterday. And that's what I was saying, that you don't come all this way, you don't make all this effort. You don't want to let your country down, you don't want to let yourself down. You don't come here as a former double world champion just to do one lap round here. So he's come here, he's been under the weather, he's been hoping that he'd feel a little bit better. Yesterday he didn't feel too good, he said in an interview, and then today he's tested himself out and he still doesn't feel good, so he's stopping. It's completely like that. So he has come here as a principal.
In the end of the day, for me, it's always nice to be here in Africa, especially in this kind of big event on cycling. It's his first time in Africa, so for me, special also for the continent. So it's pretty special day.
And very inspiring for a lot of kids from Africa, from Rwanda, from Eritrea, from the country.
Yeah, I think it's nice honor for me, to be honest, because when I arrived here, I saw a lot of kids. They already shout my name and they are coming to say hello for me. So it's pretty nice for me, to be honest. And it's nice. I hope to continue like this and to inspire more the African talent kids and to see more professional guys in the peloton.
But today the course is maybe a little bit difficult.
Yeah, indeed. I think not just a little bit, it's too hard. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's good to be here, especially in Rwanda. It's one of the nicest country for cycling culture. So for me, it's already a while since I've been here. So I'm just happy, enjoy my ride here, and let's see today.
He has wisdom beyond his years, does Biniam Gunnar. He's still only 25 years of age, can you believe that? Last year, of course, not the last Tour de France, but the one in 2024, he eventually took the green jersey, which was just a blessing, I think, for all of cycling. He comes here not expecting to win, but very much to be part of a superstar roster from, indeed, Eritrea. Tesfatsion is probably their best hope. Bulbahan, Rahul Kudus, himself, Kipchoge, Zahay, Eritrea, they punch well above their weight in the world of cycling.
Yeah, they certainly do, and I think Mai had to be coaxed to come here. He didn't want to come here because he wasn't, it didn't really suit him, this course here in Rwanda. But I think, the World Championships of Rwanda needed him here, and it's good that he actually came. He said in his interview there that this is too hard, and that says a lot coming from a great champion like Mai, as you said. Being jersey, winning the Tour de France 3 stages last year. Hasn't had the best of the season, but good to see him here. And like you say, the Eritrean flags are any race you go in the world, you're going to see at least one.
Love this running course actually. It's a cross-country training course, so it rises and falls. It's just on the. I mean, why not have four lanes of running track? Great distance athletes, of course. Africa have provided us. Ethiopia and Kenya, of course, foremost in our thoughts in that regard. The West African nations of Morocco and Algeria also producing great distance runners. Some indeed have been brilliant at marathons as well, as you well know. But yeah, so have a running track that has rises and falls and 4 lanes as well. Why not? I think it's just such a great idea. Playing with the idea of getting off up the road is Ireland. They have Eddie Dunbar, they've got Ryan Mullen, Darren Rafferty, Rory Tarrant, and these are very familiar names to us. But Ben Healy, we often refer to him as the Terrier. He is somebody that turns himself inside out on a breakaway and occasionally delivers. Could he be a big outside pick for us today?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Going on performances recently coming into this race, I was covering the Tour of Luxembourg, and I think he showed there that he's got the capabilities. That was his first race after riding while in the Tour de France this year, getting the yellow jersey and winning the stage. So for me, he has to go from distance. We saw that in the Paris Olympics last year. He went from distance and had them chase hard behind. Okay, it didn't work out for them from the end, but definitely for Ireland. They've done it in the past. Possibly with Ben Healy, I think as a principle they could be a feature definitely in this race today.
Did he bring his own Irish breakfast tea? I imagine he probably did, and some of it may well have come from Europe. There's multitudinous tea farms here. They were established back in 1952. I believe it was Germans who indeed brought the tea plants to what was deemed to be, because of the volcanic soil, a near perfect growing environment. I mean, don't get offended by that at all. The Brits did exactly the same by taking Chinese tea plants and moving them to India. So why not take Indian tea plants and move them to Africa? It's the spreading of tea, and we love a cup of tea. And a biscuit, please, that would be nice. Meanwhile, they have coffee here as well. Neither of those drinks appeal to Brian Smith, who likes water, especially on days like today.
No, I'd like a black tea and honey. That's my go-to drink, yeah. 100%. Every day.
Look at you, finding out more about you every single day. You're so grumpy about it, but anyway. Just on the tour of the academy, I don't know where that high pitch came from. Watch that. Ireland, a must string, and there is Ben Healy in wheel 2, and the attrition rate goes on. Ibrahim Jallo has indeed abandoned some good company. Jimmy Napoli likewise, but I haven't seen him off the bike yet, but he was about to pull it in. A few others as well. Ahmed Orkin, the attrition rate will be high. We lost around half, possibly a little bit more of the women's elite roster yesterday. It happens, and if you get tailed off, you are in danger of being overtaken on the circuit, and as a result you get gated. There might be a little bit less of that because we will leave the circuit itself for our big loop, and that big loop, is it loopy, Brian? It feels that way. We do 150 kilometres of racing, 156 actually, and then all of a sudden we take on Mount Kigali. It seems unplanned.
Yeah, it's the only race here that is actually going off this course. And of course, yesterday it was announced Montreal we knew that anyway. It's going to host the World Championships yesterday. That was why yesterday's winner was so prevalent. She's going to go there as defending champion. So with the courses being announced for next year, a lot of them go off the course and come back and do the loops in Montreal, but this is the only one that goes off piste.
Meanwhile, off for an ice cream is Julien Alaphilippe, I'm afraid. Double world champion is not going to be a feature at the end of today. He tested himself. It was too much. He's not well. He's off the bike. Sensible, I think. Even at this late stage of the season, he might have something like Liège-Bastogne-Liège in his mind if he recovers in time. A boat apparently that he picked up in Canada. Well, a lot of air miles. I imagine he has possibly open access to the executive suites at the airports because he gets around the planet. Indeed, so does cycling. And we're here in Africa and we're playing in Rwanda. And, well, we've been playing various tunes, and this is Mauro Alfredo, who indeed absolutely fabulous kid, I must say. But his day is no shame in that, Brian. It's great to have so many national representatives. Oh, that's not good. That is not a good look. Fred Wright just dousing Tom Pidcock here. He did it himself, and then he offered up some help to Tom Pidcock. If he's not feeling great, that's another fabulous name that might well be in trouble. We hope that he rides himself in today. Tony Pidcock still only 27. He's got a massive career still ahead of him. They say you don't reach your physical peak until you're 28. Should we be scared?
The only thing I'm seeing from Pogacar, though, and the kind of weakness I've seen, is his mentality. He was supposed to go to the Vuelta straight after the Tour de France. He said, no, mentally, I need a break. A little bit too much for me. You know, we've seen kind of up and down performances. Not a great performance in the time trial, of course, but then again, he's only just over a second off the podium. It's just an incredible performance by everybody. So I don't think he's won 16 races this year, Pogacar. So he doesn't race too much or all the time. So it's I think he's definitely super motivated for this one. Whether he came. That was a good take, actually.
It was really good. Should be an outfielder in the baseball arena. That was amazing.
Yeah, no, that was a really good take there. That practice has been on there. It was like a low catch there because he couldn't get in front of, I think it was James Knott for Great Britain there just to take that. But come back to Pogacar, it's for me kind of mental burnout. Two words that is I think come upon Pogacar this year. And it's hard to believe that someone that's so good like that, you know, suffers sometimes from that kind of mental burnout. He doesn't race too much, as we've already mentioned, but it's every race he rides, he's under so much pressure. But you saw him when in the sign-on, he jumped onto the podium and he told him, what are you doing? You have to sign on, and he had a kind of fun and joke about it. So he had to go back and sign his name as the protocol. But he seemed in high spirits, and I think the big thing that motivates him here, and it's something that big champions love. They love riding for the country. They absolutely love it. Doesn't matter if you're, World Championship bands on or anything like that, you're national champion. Riding for your country is something special. And I think Pogacar is so proud to be Slovenian. It's a small cycling country that punches way above its weight, and I think he wants to do the country proud. I have to say, at the same time, we do have 11 riders from UAE Team Emirates team. Right? Sometimes in World Championships, you get trade teams getting involved.
Trade help.
Yes. You do get, and I'm not beating about the bush here, it's sometimes we get that. Some federations, and we've talked about other federations not sending a lot of riders, they don't have a lot of money, but some federations put a bonus scheme up for, the countries. Everybody gets the same if they win the world title. So there is a bit of that, but it was interesting to hear from Del Toro what happens when you find yourself in front with Pogacar, and he said, man against man.
That's
which is great.
It is. Eric Mane Zabayo is trying to get over from a six-man team from Rwanda. And they're loving seeing this on the big screen. Cycling Festival. Absolutely love it. Trust you are too. Oh, there's a bio. Just trying to get off and away from the peloton. It sits at 2 minutes, so 46 margin to our breakaway. Just a brief one on Sao Tome and Principe. It's a West African nation, 2 islands off the Gulf of Guinea. Absolutely beautiful, natural beauty, rich in culture, and indeed they've sent 2 riders for us. Unfortunately, Alfredo is one of those who is out. Do Rosario is still riding, but that means it's a very unusual and rare cycling kit here. And I've got to say, some of it is absolutely gorgeous. Sadly, not available in 3XL for me, but it's one of the gifts of going to a place like this. They used to. You will have experienced this, Brian, pin collectors. Remember pin collectors when you went to the Atlanta Olympics? They were absolutely everywhere, and nations would swap pins. I think that's kind of ebbed a little bit because people don't wear blazers these days and pins have gone. But coming to the World Tour, you get access to some fantastic and really unusual kit.
Yeah, I've been quite fortunate to ride a few combat games, and I got introduced to them when I was 18, my first year at that level in Scotland. I was given these pins and I was like, what are they for? And then all of a sudden people were coming up to me, you get any pins? Swap. And I was like swapping pins, but I was a veteran at doing it, and I've still got a lot of these pins at home somewhere, and then you go to the Olympics and exactly the same thing. I love that practice. I've not been to the Olympics or the Commonwealth Games in recent years, so I don't know if that's still the case.
Pins kind of almost a thing of the past, really, but some collectors end up with thousands of the things. But yeah, coming here and getting the badges from some of the smaller nations here, it's a badge of honour that says you've actually made the trip. Will Tom Pidcock make the trip? He's still hanging at the back, Brian.
I think he's okay. Let's see how this race develops, but a lot of the riders, this is what they do, just ride in the wheels, save as much as they can. But I tell you what, for Manzi Bayu, he is really and royally entertaining this crowd. If they're not singing and dancing and having a party atmosphere before, they certainly are now, because this is what they want. They want to see everyone in cyclist on his own off the front of the peloton.
Yeah, take a picture quick with lots of star riders behind you. But yeah, Manizabayo is going for it. 26 kilometers an hour is a decent old pace when you're on these cobbles, just coming up to the crest, and we'll come up and over the top and then start heading back down. Brian, in 23 kilometers time, there'll only be 200 kilometers left.
Yeah, look at these riders, they know what to expect. They've done this before. Sometimes in stage races they have big long stages, especially the Giro d'Italia in the past, but just looking at Garcia Perna from Spain, that's been a big effort, especially early on in this race. Look at the riders at the front, they're having a chat with each other. Garcia Perna, head down, trying to come across.
Still going for it, bless him. Meanwhile, this man, Manizabayo, is about to be tagged. Double elbow flick there. Can't quite see who the Slovenian is who's on the front. He's trying to ask for some help, not going to get any. Belgium absolutely locked onto the wheel. Listen to this man being called to the top into this fan zone. He was here yesterday. I love that guy. Whoever he is as a line announcer, I want him to come to my next birthday party.
The thing is, he did it every lap yesterday, and he's doing it every lap today. I know as a commentator sometimes when you do 4.5 hours commentary yesterday, it takes a lot of effect from your larynx, but he has an amazing larynx.
Underneath. I don't know. Maybe he's a cheerleader elsewhere as well. Great Britain then, just dwelling on them momentarily. We've got on it. Clearly, they are going to be the principals. Do Blackmore. Hello. Do you know, there's never a good time for this, Brian. But if you're going to have some bad luck, have it early.
Yeah, of course. In fact, yesterday we didn't see any major problems, punctures. The conditions here are fantastic. I think there was a little bit of rain earlier on today, but you know you can clearly see it's great conditions at the moment.
Oh, and a couple as well, I'm afraid. Ollie Knight is one of those, and on the deck, can't quite see who it is for Belgium. We'll get downstairs in a moment, I'm sure. That is a nightmare, a touch of wheels, and it can happen at any time, and it's happened right now. Nothing benign about this, I'm afraid, and Van Wilder is one of those that they are struggling to get comfortable. To be honest, let the rider do it himself, trying to manage that kind of situation. Let's have a look at it, Brian. Here we go.
Yeah, hard to see from here. It looks like a touch of wheels, and then a secondary one on the right-hand side. Just looking to see that Marc Soler there on the left-hand side for Spain. Yeah, Marc Soler for Spain. That's a big loss for one of you. So a very, very talented bike rider, and unfortunately, when you crash this fast, don't know what happened, couldn't see from where we were, but you know, a few nations caught amongst the casualties here, unfortunately.
Trying to get his bike straightened out, but he's clearly not ready to win out. There's a whole sequence of burgers on display here from him, I'm afraid, and he's saying, don't touch me, just leave me alone, let me settle myself down. I mean, the help here is trying to help, but to be honest, riders just need some gathering time sometimes, don't they?
Yeah, it's really not ideal, the situation here. You know, one of the riders that crashed here is obviously Bjorn Coates, the young rider from Picnic Post NL. I just saw the Picnic Post NL and I thought, oh no, I hope it's not Oscar Ornley, who you just mentioned. In fact, talking about Oscar Ornley, it's his mum's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Mum, but that did not look nice at all. Well, can happen at any time, and we've still got a relatively packed group when they're coming up together. When you get this stretch out and then a recompression, Brian, there is often a call for manoeuvring, but you never know where such a touch of wheels is going to happen within a bunch. But it's more likely to happen if indeed the asphalt is at a premium. When there's a lot of riders very close together, it takes just one small mistake, one little bit of collision, a little bit of hooking of bars, you just never know, rubbing of shoulders, wheels, it gets reflected into a bigger incident, and some have really been through the mincer. Look at this.
Yeah, it's going to have to see whether it's a touch of bars are coming together, or wheels are coming together, handlebar. Very difficult to see in the pictures. It happened in the left, and a secondary movement on the right-hand side caused this with Van Wilder. Van Wilder, well, third in the time trial, he would be doing this by Belgium today. And there's another rider just in front from Italy as well. So a couple of the strong nations have already lost some really important riders.
Yeah, Van Wilder looks hobbled. Soler looks very sudden-packed. Alaphilippe is out. So Belgium, France, Slovenia already struggling, and it's very, very early days here.
You know what, as a young man, I played the trumpet, and I always used to think, I wish I was a drummer, because as a trumpet you put a lot bit more energy in, because you're having to blow
all the time.
And I used to look at the drummers and think, what am I doing playing the trumpet? I should have learned to play drums.
Oh, there we are. It is done, I'm afraid, for Bjorn Kurt. Absolutely roughed up out there. Not good one.
No, there's not a lot you can do when you come down heavily. I think Van Wilder will be the next in the pits. The World Championships is not a race. When you come down this heavily, what else can you do? You can suffer through. Van Wilder is here to help Evenepoel. He's kind of one of the right-hand men for Belgium. He'll be a big loss. He's continuing on in this race, but I think it's forlorn. I don't think, even if he gets back, he'll be much help for Remco Evenepoel today.
Let's see. When you're on a small circuit such as this, Brian, as well, you're never that far away from help or indeed an escape option, I guess you might say. But equally, if you're not at your best, and another shake of the head here, I'm afraid, and Mark's there, that is another big name that is clearly not going to be taking much further part in this. It's a real shame because he's such a live wire and a great entertainer today.
I said at the time when he was there, if Ayuso, in my mind, is a major contender, and to lose someone like this, a teammate for the moment for Spain, trade teammate as well, although Ayuso's gone on to Lido Trek, it's Marcella could have been a big help to Juan Ayuso.
Not anymore. Back to the pits. Shaking the head says everything. So we've lost Alaphilippe, we've lost Marc Soler, we've lost Bjorn Kurt, we've lost quite a few out there, and there were more, I'm afraid, to go. Nobody said this was easy.
Just goes to show, Carlton, just a moment of maybe lack of concentration, touch of the wheels, locking the handlebars, and you're talking about 3 or 4 good riders there that have been hobbled, and 3 or 4 teams, the nations. It could happen to the best riders in this peloton.
Agreed, entirely. And unfortunately, the attrition rate is including some very good riders that would have been part of the battle plans for a lot of our principal teams here. Look at this, you take yourself a roundabout. This is the Kimi Harura roundabout park. How lovely is that? I mean, we love the Arc de Triomphe, but what a spectacular rendition of a thing to do with a roundabout. There's a few in Glasgow as well, but we talk about the empty bottles of own brewing. It's only half empty. I'm going to tell you that sometimes it's not own brewing, it's in it, but anyway, let's move on. 2 minutes and 16 is, that's 2 minutes 16, 216, 2 minutes and 34, I should say, is the gap. To a decent breakaway, but it's almost a holding pattern at the moment. And within, we're circulating, Brian, around about 24 minutes for this lap. In fact, we've got our last lap time for us. We'll have a look in a moment. We will be wrapping that up as a graphic for you. But it kind of gets into a sort of a vortex whirlwind. Gets quicker and quicker and quicker, it seems, towards at the end. Here's Jai Hindley, got himself back here after a very brief technical. Super strong team from Australia. They have Hindley, they've got Jay Vine, Manstura, we have Luke Platt as well. Michael Matthews is here. Bling is doing his thing.
Yeah, but he's had a crash in training before this race. He's got a few bandages and he's kind of hobbling around a little bit, so he is a rider that has featured in the past in the World Championships, but I don't think let's see how he gets on. But if you've had a crash in training before this and he's limping, then I don't think he'll be a major feature in this race.
Great to have somebody with that level of experience, though, Brian, almost as a talisman.
Exactly, it's good to have him here, and when he is here, unfortunately having that incident in training, we don't know too much detail about it, but looking at the front, I thought this would be purely just Slovenia on the front, but Belgium are clearly up for this for years, but also United States,
yeah. Nielsen Powers, I guess, disappointing that we had indeed that cancellation. But with Quinn Simmons here as well, they've got an option. He has turned himself into one of the feistiest indeed contenders. One that does not look great, and I think this is me just going over to the exit road, and I think that was the sign here. Still testing himself out. He stayed on the bike, but surely it can't be for much longer because apart from anything else.
I think everyone's an underdog compared to Tadej, aren't they? So, but yeah, it's a nice course for me, and yeah, I think we saw in the women's race it can be an unpredictable race. So yeah, I think it's a nice one for me.
The only difference is that on your course there'll be the Mount Kigali, the Mur de Kigali. That could make a real difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's such a hard course anyway, whether it's in or out. It's yeah, I'm not sure it would really change the race too much, but 100% it's definitely going to be a bit of a focal point, and yes, it's just a super hard climb.
Did you wake up with the dream of being world champion?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
I like that. I also like Ben Healy. I think he's I think he's brilliant. He's brilliant for cycling. He's made plenty of Irish eyes smiling in his direction.
Well, Ireland have done it before. I'm going to say this in a possibly surprising fashion.
Go on then.
I just said it in a surprising fashion.
No, you haven't. You've got to do it in a surprising fashion. What are you going to do? Put on a tutu? Go on.
No, he did it.
Oh, I
in a
see.
surprising fashion.
I thought you said, I am going to say this in a surprising fashion. I was thinking, how are you going to say this in a surprising fashion? But I misunderstood.
Yeah, you did. That's for the first time. Yeah, with Stephen Roach, he was there supporting Sean Kelly. Sean Kelly was the rider that he was looking after during that World Championships. It came into the final throw of the guy, and he was through a gap in the inside and became world champion. A good world champion, Stephen Roach, quality bike rider. He won the triple that year with the Giro d'Italia and the Tour de France. So you could say that he's a good world champion, but he won it in a kind of surprising fashion.
Well, yeah, I mean, Sean Kelly was the year that Greg LeMond won it for the second time. Greg LeMond had been saying all day, apparently, to Sean Kelly, he was in Grenoble, I believe, that he was feeling terrible and his legs were bad. And he found his legs through the day. And I'm hoping that such a thing happens to Tom.